What I would like to do is introduce to everyone who's watching this a small company in Doncaster, and they've been going about 8 years, and they've been looking at artificial intelligence and how that actually works with companies, and they've got some wonderful case studies which demystifies some of the issues around what artificial intelligence is and how it can be used to increase profitability and increase your business going forward into the next 10, 15, 20 years when it's going to become even more prevalent. So this small company, interestingly, is based in Doncaster in the north of England, and it's been going about 8 years and headed up by Mark. Hello, Mark. And it's quite unique. It employs probably about 50 or 60 people in 5 different countries around the world. And it's embraced technology. And it's certainly in Doncaster is looking at how that can be turned into a technology hub. Doncaster is quite an interesting place, and the local government and council have decided to embrace that and try and enhance what the technology innovation might look like here in Doncaster. So that's a rambling introduction, but let me introduce you to Mark, who is the Chief Executive and founder of Automated Analytics based here in Doncaster. Mark, hello.
Hello, Andy.
Firstly, the question that I think everybody listening, watching keeps asking is, what is artificial intelligence? How can you describe it?
And that is a very, very good question. I think there's a lot of confusion as to what actually artificial intelligence is. So essentially, artificial intelligence is a computer program that mimics the human process or the human thought process to produce something. That might be analysis. It might be a robot that can do a certain human process. But essentially, it is a computer program that is trying to mimic a human action, a human process, a human thought process to deliver a tangible outcome.
Everyone's worried about artificial intelligence, thinking that it's going to steal their jobs. It's going to make things robotic to the point where the robots take over. But you and I both know that's probably a little bit of an exaggeration. How do you think artificial intelligence is going to help humanity, business?
So I think it's the real major improvement that we've seen is productivity. So and I've seen it where, particularly when you're talking about staff, it's those mundane tasks that they absolutely hate doing that actually takes them a day, 2 days a week, that by using an artificial intelligence process means that they no longer have to do those admin roles or those mundane tasks. So, uploading jobs to Indeed would take some of our clients a day a week, just uploading jobs. We do it automatically for them, and they've got a day's worth of admin back that they no longer need to do. Likewise, in terms of creating reports, because you're analysing 100% of your business, not just a snapshot. One, it happens in 0.2 of a second. So it means that you're getting real live data on your business. But 2, the actual creation of the report doesn't need to be done by a human anymore. And that means that they can spend their time in actually analysing the data rather than creating the data. And by using artificial intelligence, your data becomes more accurate. So therefore, it has more of an impact on your business moving forward.
So it's efficiency, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's productivity, it's efficiency, but because you're generating those 2 benefits out of that, there's a massive opportunity to save cost, not in terms of necessarily employing less people, but finding the issues that are causing the customer journey to stop or to break, or the recruitment journey to stop or to break, and therefore fixing those because you've discovered them, because you know of them, to make your business more efficient, better, means that you may not have to spend as much on advertising moving forward, or actually better spending your advertising. So you might actually want to spend more, but you're generating more because you can get a better return on investment.
So what we've tried to do here is try and demystify a lot of what artificial intelligence is, firstly. Secondly, how it can be used. And over the next few weeks, you're going to actually talk to people at the sharp end using your product to demonstrate exactly how artificial intelligence can enhance companies enhance productivity, enhance just the way they do things. So,
yeah, we're very lucky in the fact that we've got a number of clients like British Gas, like Europcar, Pizza Hut, KFC, who've actually been using our AI solutions for the past couple of years. So, very luckily, we've got a number of case studies of where people have actually deployed AI very successfully, unlike, a lot of companies that are still searching around for, a case study or an example of where it's been used. We actually have those.
okay, well, that's going to be really interesting over the next few weeks to explore that, because what it will help people understand is how exactly artificial intelligence can be used. And I'm quite interested to see how that develops. But before we go there, the point of today's first episode, Mark, is to kind of establish who you are, but if your history, so people understand your expertise, but also where you came from and how did this all come about, because that's quite a fascinating story in itself.
Yeah,
go on, tell everyone.
Well, I was marketing director of Hilton. I was head of marketing for Virgin Active Health Club. So my background is very much working in service-based, local delivery companies. And I was commercial director of Halfords Auto Centre, and I was literally sat in an auto centre. The phone rang, and at the time we had a brilliant website, but it had a 48-hour, if you like, booking gap from when you could book an MOT at the time. And quite rightly, centre manager picks up the phone, customer on the end of the phone, I'm on your website, my MOT runs out today. I can't book an MOT for another 48 hours. Can you fit me in? And of course, quite rightly, the centre manager says, yeah, no problem at all. I can fit you in. Come down 5 o'clock and we'll MOT your car. And straight away, I was thinking, well, hang on a second, two things. One, how can I attribute what's happened on that phone call to my website? Because I'm clearly missing sales and revenue, and that could be a big part of our portion. And the other part of me was like, and that's my bonus, because I'm not reporting the true volume of revenue that my website's generating. And so when I set up automated analytics, we created a phone tracking piece of software that could track the source of the click through to the call. So we knew that this keyword on Google drove this call, but the issue was we couldn't tell what the contents of the call was without listening to it. And this goes back to my earlier explanation of artificial intelligence, was that essentially what we did is we had a bank of people listening to calls, say, right, was it a sales call? Did it end up in a sale? How could I actually automate that entire process using artificial intelligence? And so what we ended up doing was creating our first artificial intelligence solution, where we used a transcription module to transcribe the call and then use a complex decision tree to actually determine what actually happened on the call. So was the call answered? Because your phone system will tell you the call's been answered. That doesn't actually mean there's been a human interaction. Second stage was to understand, was it a sales call, a customer service call, an internal call, an external call? And then if it was a sales call, actually that complete journey of, right, well, was it a qualified lead? Did it turn into an appointment? Did it turn into a sale? If it was customer services, was it a product issue? Was it a chase call? What type of call it was? And because we were able to use, so not only know that, right, the keyword that's generated the call, but understand the contents of the call, by putting that whole line of sight together to give a complete view of the customer, you could very quickly see which keywords on Google were generating the high value sales calls as opposed to customer service calls. And so we had the likes of, some clients were reducing their cost per acquisition on Google from £15 down to £2. So a significant saving in cost. Didn't mean they spent less, it just means that they could generate more sales of the type of sale that they wanted to. Finding things out about their business. We had another client who was using that platform not only for attributing their marketing, but understanding their customer services journey, and discovered that they had a break in their customer journey, that essentially they were generating a lot of repeat calls because they weren't answering the issue on the first call. Just by solving that problem, they saved £4 million in operating costs over a year. So that's where
you then took that concept, this problem that you had encountered, and use technology to just make your life more efficient, so you could get your
I mean, we honestly, listening to calls is probably the hardest. No one wants to do it, And I probably haven't listened to a call for about 4 years now because one, our customers or clients can see the transcript of the call. But two, because the AI is so accurate at predicting what the contents of that call means, is that you can, we analyze 10,000 calls in 0.2 of a second with a 91% accuracy. That's pretty good for an AI model. And so what it's enabled us to do is provide our clients with those productivity increases. So rather than seeing a call center as a costly center, it certainly flips it on its head to actually being, well, actually, we can turn this into a profit center.
Yeah, well, we're going to come on to call centers a little later. Well, you are in our conversations, but Halfords was important because that gave you the foundations of knowledge of what could be achieved by technology.
Absolutely, and to be fair,
so what happened next?
The management team. That working at Halfords taught me how to run a business. If I'm honest with you, Duncan, Bill, and Andy, who are my fellow colleagues on the exec board, were brilliant mentors in a way, and so. The kind of using AI to analyse calls and sales, whether it be online or offline, was the first stage. But what we found was that the solution was so effective at generating sales. We get clients saying to us, well, can you slow down because we haven't got enough staff? And being the entrepreneurial person that I am, I thought, oh, don't worry, I'll find you some staff. So we repurposed the programmatic advertising solution that we created for Google because whilst it's great analysing calls and you've got loads of what I would call conversion data, well, you've got to do something with it. And changing Google or amending Google can be a full-time job. If you can automate that whole process through a programmatic bidding AI solution, well, then again, you're saving yourself a load of time and you can react quicker to changes in the market. We repurposed that programmatic bidding model into a recruitment solution. So recruitment today is very much online, but it's still an offline element to it in terms of the interview, in terms of the process of a conversion, if you like. So we created our talent track solution, which automates the management of your campaign. So we push the job or the vacancy out to whether it's a job board, search, or social media. We generate the application, we push it into the client's applicant tracking system. But what we're then doing is we're then checking to see, well, what's actually happened to that candidate, and then using that data in an AI bidding model to then buy or purchase media based on when there is a higher probability of getting a hire rather than just an application. So for the likes of some of our American clients, they had a cost per hire of $56. We've got that down to $17 within 3 months. We've got clients in the UK where they were spending £5,000 generating, hiring a nurse from an agency. We've got that cost down to just below £700. We've got a client who spent a lot of money on recruitment agencies, 26 million. They're now spending around 7 million.
Yeah. So we're going to come on to each of those little component parts. Those are important, but I'm still interested in your genesis because you saw this eight years ago, and the issues you experienced at Halfords, and you solved a problem, and to explain Halfords, they deal with millions and millions of parts of information, and you were trying to make it the most efficient way of actually understanding where a part was, how to get hold of that, etc., etc. And that was kind of how you.
It was. I mean, it was the Halfords experience kind of got me down the track of leading me to think, hang on a second, calls are a big part of the online journey. We need to be tracking them. My next private equity gig was with a company called Evander Glazing & Locks, which was a B2B insurance services company, and then wanted to move into B2C. I created the world's first locksmith booking engine. I was very proud of it. A bit like Uber for locksmiths, you could see where the locksmith was, how far he was away. No one used it. They all phoned up saying, I'm outside my house. I need a locksmith now. When can he come? And so, again, when you look at a client journey, if there's any emergency element to it, yes, you probably want them to go down an online journey, but actually a lot of people go down an offline telephone basis. And really what I was trying to do and the way automated analytics was set up is I'm trying to solve a problem. It just so happened that AI was actually the best thing that I could use to solve that problem. Whereas sometimes people will create something and then try and find the solution to solve it. These were genuine, real world problems that happen every day that, right, how do we fix that problem? actually AI and a complex decision tree or a latency model, yep, they're the best models to use in that application.
So when you, of course, 8 years is a long time ago, you think how fast technology moves.
Yes.
And you've gradually kind of matured, but led the way in how technology can be used to drive, products or services in a different direction. And that's been very pioneering. I mean, certainly some of the brands that you are now working with are extraordinary, which we will go on to. When did you see this giant leap and change? Because it's only in the last 2-3 years that everyone's become aware of AI, and now they're either worried about it, want to know how to use it, what does it mean for our businesses, individuals. So that you've seen that journey and you've observed that. What do you think changed people's recognition of this technology and how it could be used?
I think the proof is in the pudding, and I think the way we approach a lot of clients is a proof of concept or a pilot to actually demonstrate this can be done. And I think there is a lot of confusion. I think there's a lot of nervousness, or how is this going to affect my business? Is it going to have a negative impact?
Yeah.
Which we sometimes face. And I think sometimes the media portray it as a bad thing, when actually, in the right circumstances is a very, very good thing. It's not about replacing jobs; it's about making that person more efficient at the end of the day. And for us, we're very lucky in the fact that Doncaster is our centre of excellence. Yes, we have offices around the world, but I have a very, very capable team, and we've had a great relationship with Sheffield University, who, when we first started working with them, we thought we were going to get more knowledge from them. I think it was the other way around to begin with, to understand how we'd got our platform to work so well. But there are several different challenges in getting AI to work, and we've just faced into getting each element right. So, for example, we've created our own transcription solution. Yes, you can go out and buy a transcription solution off the peg tomorrow if you wanted to, that's AI based. We decided to develop our own because what was available on the market just wasn't good enough for what we wanted. And so we've approached this of, we want to create best in class to solve the problem, not just make do and deliver, a solution that doesn't fully work. And so for us, we're always looking at improving, the quality of what we do for our clients. And a lot of our development is actually through client adoption and client feedback. Is a lot of our clients come to us and say, look, could it do this, or can we check for that, or can we change the model? Which is why what we've developed, it's fully scalable for a business. It's not one model, one size fits all. Each of our clients have their own model.
Yeah, which I think is quite interesting, because you've said many times that you've had to go through a process of educating customers, clients, into understanding what artificial intelligence is, because they have a preconception which is completely off scale compared to the reality of actually doing it, which is interesting. I mean, you tell of a couple of journeys you've had trying to explain to people what artificial intelligence is, and they fear it, but then when they break it down, they go, hang on, that's just efficiency.
It is, and I think also one of the big things to remember about AI is we term it supervised versus unsupervised.
Yeah.
So all of our models are supervised, and I kind of describe it as, it's like when you go 10-pin bowling and you've got like the rails up. Supervised model is you're trying to keep the model, answering and analysing and delivering the right type of data. There is a little bit of human intervention. Unsupervised, you take the bowling rails off, and it could go anywhere. And I think that's where some of the confusion is a lot of AI models or the best AI models are very much supervised, and it's the degree of supervision, obviously, in terms of generating that accuracy depends on the model that you use. But even when you look at self-driving cars, why isn't there a self-driving car? Because they've got to learn, and that's why they're in certain cities. They've got to learn the routes, and if someone steps out, what do I do? They've got to tell a computer what to do. It still needs human intervention. But having said that, though, if you get a bucket and stick it over the sensor of a self-driving car, it kills the car immediately and stops driving. Right, so even the best technology and the best one in the world, there's always a fail-safe on it at the end of the day. And that's why, I can understand why people think, is AI going to cost my job? No, what it's going to do is it's actually going to improve your working conditions, your working life, because you're not going to have to do those mundane tasks anymore. And that's where I see AI as really having the most benefit.
Yeah, what I think is really interesting is a lot of people have talked about AI. A lot of businesses say they understand it, they're doing it. The reality is they're not. It's a lot of theory rather than practice. And I think certainly having listened to Doncaster's councils and local governments' aspirations, they've seen you and other small companies in Doncaster as not just talking about it, you're doing it and have been doing it for a while. So you're pioneering this evolution, technology evolution, here in the north of England, which is fantastic. Tell me how Doncaster have supported you, because they have genuinely been.
I mean, they have been brilliant, and
and why Doncaster, by the way?
Well, blame the wife.
No, I'm talking about why is it? It is the technology. You've got some brilliant staff all around, come from Doncaster and around here.
Correct.
But they get it.
Yes, and we're very lucky in the fact that Doncaster in itself is a fantastic city. I'm delighted they've got city status because we deserve it. Sometimes gets talked down, shouldn't be. It was the centre, of the Industrial Revolution for the railway industry.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen overnight. And so for me, with Doncaster, we want to make Doncaster a centre of excellence for AI, because there isn't one in the UK. And, we've had a lot of due diligence done on us over the years, and what we do is pretty unique, so we're told. And so for me, what we're giving people in Doncaster, the opportunity of, you don't have to go to Sheffield, you don't have to go to Leeds, you don't have to go to London. There's a technology company in Doncaster that really can support you and
but
develop
they've seen
you.
it. The chief executive of Doncaster Council has been quite right. This is amazing, because he's been exposed to companies like Automated Analytics and others, in fairness,
Yes.
and he's recognised that there's brilliant brains in this part of the world, part of the country, that actually could genuinely make AI and Doncaster a technology hub for the innovation of UK's plans to become an AI centre of excellence in the world.
Absolutely, and
they're leading that.
Yeah, and it's very exciting to be part of that. I mean, to be fair to the City of Doncaster Council, to the Chamber of Commerce, to our local MPs, Ed and Rosie, they've been very, very supportive of us. I mean, we've gone from 400 clients in the UK to 3,500 in America in the last 12 months. So we now have over 4,000 clients globally. That's pretty phenomenal growth. And it's because we've got a great team here, but we have a great team. We have a coding lab in Thailand. We have offices in the States support our American clients. But Doncaster will always be the centre of excellence. And so we're working with the local council, even on education.
Yeah.
We're looking at, can we create a certification in AI, one, to help with education, but two, obviously, to support our future development. So it's not just a case of supporting the chamber, or chamber supporting us, or council supporting us, or doing the council's recruitment for them, or working with the NHS. It really is about helping the local community, because I think we've got a fantastic opportunity in front of us.
You can sense it. I mean,
yes.
Just talking to some of your incredible staff, and I didn't realise that not far from here, some of the world's biggest gaming centres and gaming developments happened here in the north of England, around Doncaster and others. Now, to qualify that, I think this is a great story, and I know you're going to talk about this directly to these people. A big company in the United States, probably one of the biggest, had a task to try and find a company that could solve a solution for them. And they searched, spent thousands and thousands of pounds finding a company. And it just so happened the only company in the world that could deliver what they wanted was you, which is an extraordinary story.
Yes.
Explain, because I think it's amazing.
So, we were looking to launch in the States. We managed to find ourselves a great partner. And, but, sometimes with American business, same with UK businesses, is, well, do I want to work with someone not from around here? Why pick a smaller technology company in the UK? Why don't we pick America's biggest to go and work with? And what was fascinating about it is it was a lot of due diligence. I was. How
did they find you? Because just the story of finding you.
We actually turned. What we actually did was we did a trial in the UK for one of their clients. It went fantastically well. So we went from this client, generating 1 or 2 hires for their management positions a month, generating 9 in the first month for one region, let alone the UK. So that got them interested. And they kind of said, look, we've got these UK clients, but we've actually got, several thousand in the States. We then went through a process of due diligence.
I'm going to stop you because you've missed the most important part of this, which I know you're going to speak to this particular lady. And I remember her saying at a conference, this seminar which we did in Westminster, that she was tasked with sourcing a company, and she came across you from obviously the work that you had done with the client in a tiny way in the United Kingdom, and she sat there and was saying, "Where's Doncaster? Who is this company? And they're British. Are you sure?"
Yes.
And she had to justify then going to the board.
Yep.
And trying to explain to them that there's no one in the US, there's no one else around the world. It's this tiny little company in Doncaster that have come up with a solution. That's for me extraordinary.
That is kind of that is exactly what happened. So they spent 3 months trying to find America's biggest. That did what we did, and then realised after 3 months, actually, there's no one that does what automated analytics do. We need to partner with these guys. And it's been a very, very successful partnership.
How massive are they, by the way? We're talking.
Well, aren't we? Yes, we are. I mean,
without naming them, I think you're going to speak to them.
Yes, yeah. I mean, they are a unicorn. They are. I'm incredibly proud to work with them because, as a software group, we've learned a lot from them. They've been a great partner for us. Very easy to work with once we got through due diligence.
Of course.
And the many a sleepless night thinking this is going to happen. They're going to pick someone in America. They're going to find someone in America that does what we do. But it was such a stamp of approval that someone had spent 3 months. Actually, what you have got is unique. It's like when we worked with Sheffield University. We first started talking to them, and they came across, saw what we did, and they were just looking at us. How have you done this? But how do you get to a 91% accuracy of your data? We're struggling to get to 50. So how are you doing it? And that's some very, very good academic leaders in the AI industry that have had multiple global awards coming to us saying, "How have you done this?" And I must admit, I did write the first algorithm with our CTO. It's gone beyond my technical capability now. I mean, now I'm not even allowed to code because I break stuff. They keep me off the keyboard. Obviously, I understand how it works, but we've moved it on to such a level.
But what an amazing
that is exciting.
The fact that a small company in Doncaster
was
the only company in the world, and that's not an exaggeration. She was very blunt about that in only the way that Americans can be. And when you talk to her, which you will, I hope she articulates that, because I thought that was totally fascinating. They could have gone to any of the tech Valley companies in the United States, and they didn't. You were it.
And I think one of the reasons behind that is we've never really put our head above the parapet, because I wanted to make sure that we had something that wasn't copyable, because we looked at doing a patent a couple of years ago, decided not to, because the story of the guy who invented the wind-up radio died poor because someone else slightly changed his patent, created an equally good wind-up radio, and he lost all of his sales. So I'd say for a few years we were a little bit hunkered down because we wanted to make sure what we had was unique. But to get that stamp of approval from our partners in the States was amazing. It really was. I must admit that was a nice glass of wine that night when I discovered that fact. But the fact that a lot of people are still considering, well, how can we use AI? What can we do with it? We've been using AI for years, for a number of years, and delivering tangible results. That, to me, is the benefit of AI, is those tangible results.
So, I mean, there's a great story, and there's a lot to unpack, by the way, from this episode 1 conversation, and Mark is going to take that on and speak to every single one of those individuals, so you get a little bit more understanding about how and what and exactly, how AI can be used. What I've been also fascinated with, Mark, is the fact that the government and certainly the local MPs have been brilliant for you. They've seen what potential this small company in Doncaster has, particularly the 2 local MPs. They've been very supportive. They get it. They can see that way innovation and artificial intelligence can absolutely be, crucial to the GDP of Great Britain PLC, and that's been wonderful for you. For they put their arms around you, haven't they?
Absolutely. I mean, we had Dame Rosie Winterton visit us last week, Deputy Speaker, MP for Central Doncaster, and Ed Miliband's been here as well. What's interesting is that we had our Parliament event just before Christmas, and we had 150 people there. And Dame Rosie walked in and was like, "Oh my God, there's 150 people here." I think she was quite surprised at our strength and depth and the clients that we have. Again, I think there was this activity, and I was guilty of talking Doncaster down a couple of years ago. We've got to stop doing it. Doncaster is a great city. We're famed for our innovation within railways. It's not too far of a stretch to get it into AI and technology, and therefore it's great to have their backing and as you say, that their, if you like, their knowledge and also supporting us and pushing us forward, which is great to have that kind of that local support, because we are a contributor to the local economy.
Absolutely.
And I want to continue that, because I see our role locally is, I really believe we can put Doncaster on a map for AI.
Locally, very important. And I was really very pleased, because I think this has been colourblind politically. I think the way the local MPs have embraced you, the company, and Doncaster is one thing. But I like the fact that even the current government, what it's done, it's set up this AI incubator at the Cabinet Office. Certainly what they're going to try and achieve and what they want to achieve, I think it's really brilliant. And you can see the local MPs' input into that. Would you like to contribute to that? Do you think automated has a place in that those conversations?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think, one, not only with we can demonstrate the application of AI in it for a number of businesses and the benefit it has, but also internationally. It still amazes me that we have more clients in the US than the UK, but we're a UK company. And we've been around a longer time in the UK than we have in the US. And I think there's a lot to learn. I think it's great that the government are putting a stake in the ground. I really see this as Internet 3.0, if that's what you want to call it. I remember back in the day, I was still at school when the internet first came out. And then, when it's latterly been developed, 2.0, and I do really see this is the next evolution of technology. And it is, in what we've seen, it's had a massive impact on the clients, the businesses we've worked with. This is our competitive advantage, right? We want the UK to be a leader in growth in the Eurozone and economy in the G7 worldwide. This is our competitive advantage. This is how we become, more efficient. We increase productivity, and I think it's right for the government to get behind it, because I think there is a lot of confusion. There's a few scaremongers out there at the end of the day, and I think having a think tank, a body within the government that's actually looking at this, I think is a very, very smart decision. Of course, I'd be delighted to be involved, because I think there's a lot that we've got
to be involved.
Well, I think there's a lot that we can add with our real world experience.
Well, as I said, being aware, and again, the Westminster event was interesting, and I know you're going to be launching a white paper, which is a big survey about how business sees it and against what they perceive against the reality, and that's going to be very interesting. But I think it's important to unpick this. It really is, particularly now when you see these advancements taking giant leaps. So what you're going to do from now on, you're going on the road. I know you're off to the United States. You're going to actually talk to some people. Same type of conversation. So you get a chance to understand exactly what AI could potentially do for you as a company. And these are real, and you will see, and they're quite open about what they've saved, how it's affected their businesses. And they're not tiny companies. We're talking about some of the world's biggest brands, as you will see. And then we're going to unpick the white paper. You're going to do that. You're going to go and talk to the MPs and the local Doncaster chief executive, who I think absolutely finds this one of the most exciting opportunities for the city, and it is. And at the bottom of this episode 1 podcast, which has been a first of a few you're going to do, you'll find some links. So if you want to get in touch with Mark or Automated Analytics, all the links will be on the bottom. Keep watching, because a lot of the knowledge, the white papers, and some understanding and how it applies, you're going to do a whole education piece on trying to get people to understand what it means for them as a business or an individual. So if you're interested, that's what you can do.
Absolutely. No, I'm very excited about the series of podcasts that we're going to bring out. So Andy, thank you for doing the first one.
Wow.
Legendary. You've done the first one.
Bit of a ramble to begin with, but I think you get the idea. Mark's going to take over from now on, and I think you will find it very interesting. And certainly on the experiences that I've had trying to get to know the company and what you can do, it is extraordinary, and actually gives me as an individual and as business as well comfort that there are people who they get it. And I think you'll all see that over the next few weeks, months. Mark,
Thank you, Andy.
thank you. Should we go and have a cup of coffee?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a coffee. Thank you, Andy.